Hello. Welcome to Monday's beginner yoga class. Today is a super abbreviated version. My phone has been having a hard time keeping up with the really long videos, so I'm going to keep this one quick. But I did have a request from somebody to do a headstand little talk through. So I'm going to give you two different options on how you can do this inversion, or two different inversions, and ways to keep yourself safe. So today we're going to be working on headstands. So there are going to be two different ways that you can set this up. I'm going to give you the first way, which is actually a really great place to start if you've never done a headstand before. Essentially, you're going to interlace your fingers, and these guys are going to provide support for the back of your head. So if you see me from the side right now, you can see how my ribs are kind of splayed, my shoulders are kind of just slightly up. And this is not going to be where you want to be. You can also see that my elbows are pretty wide. So when you're on the floor, because the crown of your head is going to hit the floor, you're going to bring your elbows in together, and then you're going to engage your scapula and pull your ribs in. So when I engage my scapula, my shoulders automatically go down. It's a very similar position to your chaturanga position. So when we do our chaturanga, we want to make sure that our elbows aren't flying out to the side, right? They're hugging in, my shoulders are going down, right? It's the same sort of idea right here. So you're going to interlace, place your hands behind your head, and then you're going to hug your elbows in and bring your head back into your hands. So it's not pushing you forward, your head is pressing into your hands. Your ribs are in, your shoulders are down. Okay, so we're going to transfer all of that to the floor. Now, if you can find a wall to set up in front of, I would go ahead and do that, especially if you are new to this. So I've gone ahead and just brought my yoga mat up to the wall. If you don't have a yoga mat, a blanket works, but I would definitely keep it pretty thin. If you're on carpet, just stay on carpet. You shouldn't need anything else. The biggest thing is you don't want to have any wrinkles or have to make any adjustments once you're there. That can be a really dangerous place to be. Your cervical spine is going to be, it's very flexible, but it's also pretty sensitive. So we want to make sure that we're super kind to ourselves when we're doing this. Also, if you have high blood pressure, or if you've ever heard a doctor say, don't do inversions, then don't do inversions, not like this. You actually do get quite a few inversions in yoga class, at least partial inversions, like downward dog, your hips are above your head. Any sort of pose where your hips are above your head, you're getting an inversion. Even if it's not the full feet over the head sort of situation. You can also place your legs up the wall, and that's a more passive version of an inversion as well. So, all of that said, let's go ahead and try this if you're cleared to do it. So, you're going to interlace your fingers like I talked about, and you're going to set them up. I like to be a little bit away from the wall, because if you're too close to it and you start relying on it, you're going to rely on it later, and you'll have more of a propensity to fall over backwards, which is not what we want, right? So, the wall is there for your just in case, so we don't fall over backwards, you're going to be fine, right? So you're going to start out like 8-ish, 10 inches away from the wall, interlace your fingers, and then place your palms facing you. And from here, my elbows are going to come in. I'm already starting off with my shoulders active and my elbows hugging in. Thinking about your rib cage here already, and then I'm going to place the crown of my head, so the very top of my head, on the floor. And then I'm going to press the back of my head into my hands. My hands are pulling into my head. So there's this sort of like smashing sort of idea, not an actual smash, but that's the sort of idea, is that you're pulling your hands towards your head towards your hands. And this should feel super comfortable. Again, the wider your elbows are, the less secure you're going to be. You want to bring those elbows in. We're making somewhat of a triangle every single time we do this. It's going to be head, and then elbow, elbow, or later head, hand, hand, but we'll talk about that soon. So, we set up. Tuck your toes under, your hips are going to lift. Now, from here, you can see my
Shoulders are already at my ears. I'm going to pull those away. I'm going to engage my core. And then from here, I'm going to lift up onto my toes. This is a really great place to stop. If you feel any sort of pain while you're chilling in that position, then you need to come down. And there's another inversion for you, and that's totally fine. Yeah. If you're in that position, your legs are working towards straight, your heels are lifted, your elbows are pressing into the mat, shoulders down towards your ears, well, actually away from your ears. I'm all confused because I'm upside down. You're going to bend one knee. And then maybe eventually you bend the other knee. This is a great place to stop as well. And this is just getting your balance, seeing what your core is doing. There's a little bit of engagement here. You're going to feel some weight shifting forwards and back. And that's great. It's a great place to start. From here, if you're still chilling, you can begin to straighten your legs. This is why we don't want to be too close to the wall. We should be able to just straighten right up. Now, I'm probably not all the way straight, not all the way engaged. I'm going to have to engage my glutes slightly and push my feet back a little bit. Remember, the wall is there. It's going to be fine. If you need it, touch it, yeah? Bend your knees and make contact. That's totally fine. And then maybe you come back to a lifted position. Like I said, it's really kind of hard to gain your balance once you've used the wall. And then you're going to slowly bend your knees in towards your chest. How you come out of this is super important. Really slowly. And then we're right back where we started. We're going to straighten one leg down to the ground. Other foot reaches down. Knees come down. And then child's pose. Knees wide, toes together. Breathe out. Slowly walk your hands in towards your knees and come to a seated position. So, you'll notice I stayed in child's pose for a few breaths, even though I'm just teaching, right? It's really important that you don't just pop into a headstand, come back down, right? You can get a head rush from that, you can get a little dizzy from that. You want to give your body a minute to adjust, so every time you try a handstand, a headstand, something like that, you're going to want to come into child's pose afterwards to kind of recalibrate, recenter, and then feel good again. An inversion, normally speaking, you might try that for about 10 seconds just starting out, and then as you keep going and you practice this consistently, you might add 5 seconds, another 5 seconds. Of course, not daily, just as you feel ready to add about 5 seconds, just counting to yourself. All right, so that is option number 1. Option number 2 is my personal favorite. This one is going to be, instead of using your elbows on the ground, you're having your forearms on the ground, you're actually going to have your hands on the ground. And this is where you can really feel that sort of chaturanga position as you engage your muscles. There they are. Pressing your elbows in, and then I can really feel my shoulders are super strong here. So this one's a really great option as well. I enjoy this one, like I said, a little bit more. I feel a little more stable in this one than I do in the other one. So the concept is the same. You're going to get into it essentially the same way. Still have your wall behind you, just in case. And you're going to set up in that same sort of triangle. So the head and then your 2 hands are going to be slightly forward. The wider they get, you'll notice that you're going to sway more this way and that way, and that just makes sense, right? So you're going to want more of a triangle position here. So setting up sort of the same idea as the other one. We don't want to be too close to the wall. So I'm going to place the crown of my head down onto the floor, and then here, my hands are way too close to my ears. This is not going to work well. I have to set them up so that there's a 90-degree angle here. You're going to place both hands down. Again, making sure you're on the crown of your head. Fingertips are wide. Inhale. And on your exhale, set your shoulders up. Inhale, begin to straighten your legs. And I'm on an uneven place in the floor, so I'm going to lower back down and move over a little bit. So, your legs are straight, your hips are lifted. Same situation as before. Right here, my shoulders are not engaged. I need to work them. So I'm going to pull my shoulders away from my ears. I'm going to feel like I'm squeezing my elbows in. And then from here, I'm going to walk my feet towards my hands, and then again, bend one knee and then the other knee. This is a great place to stop. You can also just stop with the boop and just work on one foot lifting up at a time. And then from here, same situation as before, slowly straightening your legs up towards the ceiling, breathing steadily. When you get there, check in. This is not my fullest extension. I have to lift my heels towards the ceiling a little farther back and then engage my derriere. Feeling the length in the front of my hips. And on your exhale, bend your knees. Hang out there. And slowly one foot down. Then the other foot. Knees touch. And child's pose. Reaching your hands in front of you. Forehead down. Inhale. And on your exhale, walk your hands back in towards center.
Okay, so now you get to choose one. We're going to do all of this one more time. So either choosing planting your hands or else choosing to interlace your fingers behind your head. I'm just going to talk through the breath of it, and we're going to flow through this together. I'm having a hard time speaking today. Okay, so set up,
Planting your hands, planting your head, finding your nice triangle, and then engaging your shoulders here. Already hugging your belly in, and then lift your hips. And on your exhale, walk your feet in. Maybe begin to bend one knee and then the next. Inhale, lift up. Hugging your inner thighs together. And on your exhale, bend your knees into your chest. And then maybe straightening one leg, and then the other down towards the mat. Coming into child's pose. Inhale. And exhale, begin to walk your hands in towards your knees.
Hands on your lap. Roll your shoulders forward, up, and then back and then down. Inhale, arms overhead. And exhale, hands to heart center. I hope you had fun today. Thank you for joining the practice. Namaste.